Hello, young scholars. This is Mr. Martirone, and in today's Flip Classroom, we're going to talk about Christopher Columbus, the destruction of Native American culture, and the Columbian Exchange. So when we left off, we were talking about European explorers, and I want to zero in on Columbus because recently he has been the center of controversy. Let's take a look at the facts of Columbus's voyage and what he accomplished during that time. So Columbus was Italian, from Genoa, and he was looking for someone to sponsor an expedition. What they did need was people to finance their expedition. So Columbus shopped all around Europe trying to get people to sponsor his expedition. When he arrives in Spain, he meets King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, who are new rulers. They're young, and they're looking to make their mark on the world. So they carefully consider Columbus's proposal, and they agree to finance his expedition. So in August of 1492, Columbus set sails westward, stopping first at the Azore Islands and then traveling for 5 weeks until he reaches land off of Haiti, Cuba, somewhere in Mesoamerica. When he returns in early 1493, he is declared governor of this new territory, and he's also given 10% of the profits reaped from this new territory. Columbus then sets off on other expeditions with 17 ships totaling 1,200 people, and they would be the first to set up a permanent Spanish colony in the Caribbean. Among the people that joined Columbus included farmers, soldiers, and priests in order to convert natives to Christianity. When all said and done, Columbus makes 4 transatlantic voyages, and he traveled primarily around the Caribbean and the Bahamas, Cuba, and Santo Domingo and Jamaica. And as you can see by looking at Columbus's map, which is in brown, compare that with the standard North American map, which is in blue, Columbus had no reason to believe that he was in a whole new world. Columbus thought that he was in Calcutta, India, not realizing he was thousands of miles off course. It's not until Amerigo Vespucci in the early 1500s sails into Brazil that he discovers that Columbus brought back plants and animals that really weren't native to India. And by comparing the 2 different animals and plants, Vespucci draws the conclusions that, in fact, Columbus found a new world. Almost instantaneously, as soon as Columbus arrives, the Spanish begin sending more and more people to the Americas. And by 1519, new trade routes had opened up, allowing for the arrival of more Europeans. In 1519, the Spanish conquistador Hernan Cortes reaches Tlaxcalan, in modern-day Mexico City, which was the home of the Aztec Empire. Legend has it that Montezuma, a leader of the Aztecs, welcomed the Spaniards because the Aztecs had never seen armor and they had never seen horses, and they believed that Cortes was a pale-skinned god. With advantages such as superiority in weapons, guns, germs, and steel, and the help of tribes who disliked the Aztecs for taking so many prisoners, Cortes eventually destroyed the city in 1521, and with it, the Aztec Empire. Francisco Pizarro embarked on a conquest of the Inca Empire, located in modern-day Peru. He arrived in 1532 and captured the Inca king. Pizarro promised to spare the life of the king if he filled the room with gold. The Spanish treated the Incas and Aztecs with cruelty and harshness, and by the end of the 1500s, the Spanish had killed off the Aztec and Inca Empire, and with it, roughly 12 million people, and forever altered the history of North America. The one thing that contributed to the demise of the Native Americans, but also the change in the global economy, was the Columbian Exchange. The Columbian Exchange connected almost all of the world networks. This also brought the transfer of plants, animals, knowledge, technology that would change the world. It would change the way communities interacted with each other. New species, tools, and ideas were also exchanged. The Columbian Exchange marked the beginning of a period of rapid cultural change throughout the world. We're also going to see the way goods are produced and distributed change. We're going to see the rise of the transatlantic slave trade. We're going to see natural diseases spread more quickly. So let's take a look at what was exchanged. So from Eurasia to the Americas, plants included wheat, grapes, sugar, rice, barley, oranges, lettuce, and coffee. And that's remarkable because 2 of those things, coffee and sugar, have highly addictive properties, and that's going to change the way global markets are developed. And from the Americas to Afro-Eurasia, we have potatoes, tomatoes, beans, peppers, chocolate, tobacco, avocado, maize, squash, and vanilla. Among the animals that get traded from Afro-Eurasia to the Americas include pigs, cows, horses, ox, chicken, sheep, goats, and rats, all of which are relatively dirty animals which carry their fair share of diseases and germs. From the Americas to Afro-Eurasia, we have turkeys, llamas, alpacas, and guinea pigs. Those animals aren't quite as dirty as pigs, cows, horses, oxen, chicken, and sheep. It's important to understand, too, remember, Europeans, because of centuries of exposure to these animals and different crops, they had a much stronger immunity. So Europeans had that natural immunity. So when they came over to the New World, they brought plague, typhoid, influenza, measles, and smallpox. But they had a natural immunity that Native Americans did not have, and Native Americans died by the millions. In exchange, Native Americans transferred syphilis to the Europeans. And in terms of technology, well, written ideas, the alphabet, farming, guns, architecture, and the corporate structure of capitalism is introduced to the New World. Whereas from the Americas to Afro-Eurasia, we have the idea of rubber and quinine. Again, the Columbian Exchange is one of the most important turning points in world history, and thus redistribute the balance of power from Asia to North and South America.